Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I'm talking about the Hunter x X collab that has just gone live in North America. So, my throat's still hurting, I'm sucking a lozenge or drinking water, so don't be distracted by that fact. Regardless of all that, I tend to find debut events, especially for collabs, exciting, but I am not excited for the Hunter collab because the bottom rarity is not appealing. There's a couple of nice cards scattered throughout, but the real big chase card of this collab, in my opinion, is not even acquirable aside from rolling. And the rolling odds are definitely not in your favor. And for myself, I don't feel heavily inclined to roll. Like, sure, I might get a non-bottom rarity card, but that's not always going to be the case, unfortunately. So, like, less motivation to roll, even though it is a debut event, and because new cards tend to be more exciting, but I'm just not that excited for this event. But with that being said, I'm going to talk about the cards that I think are a bit more noteworthy. And the star of the show is Kailua, and I can't pronounce this name correctly, but they are a multi-step transforming card. So they go 23 turns with 2-turn haste. 2-turn haste is actually quite valuable in my opinion. Then they transform, and then they transform again. And it's this final transformation that is most important because they have triple 10 combo with Dark. So their main attribute, easy damage cap. Their sub-attribute has a strong chance of damage capping as well. So they're basically like a double damage capping card, essentially, which is nice for transforming. But it's this active skill that's quite valuable. On a 2-turn cooldown, you're able to swap your leader with your sub in the 4th position. So this is like Toto, if you're familiar with who Toto is. And the idea is you're able to leader swap into position a transforming card. Because normally, when you want to leader swap, let's say you're using like Story Sakuya, you inherit, say, Mieda's weapon assist. It's a leader swap assist. Once that charges up, you swap Sakuya and you're good to go. But Sakuya is not transforming. But with this card here, you're able to actually swap in a transforming card. So let's say you have a 7x6 leader initially, and you have Blackbird as your sub in the 4th slot position. Once this is all ready to go, you actually can swap your Blackbird onto a 7x6 board. And then you're going to be doing spectacular amounts of damage, ease of activation, easy to make combos. VDP becomes much more seamless. Point of the matter is, a bigger board really benefits everyone. And this card allows you to actually utilize transforming cards on 7x6. But unlike Toto, who has awkward and weak awakenings and a lesser active skill, this card here has great awakenings. In theory, Blackbird teams obviously have great synergy, but you are able to still use it on other teams when you really think about it, because triple 10 combo is good on every single team. The cross is nice, the L is also nice. And with a 2-turn cooldown, you are going to use it as soon as it's ready the first time, and then you're going to let it overcharge into an inherit to help you out later on in the dungeon, because you never want to actually swap your leader back again. That's just a bad idea. So you can inherit like a shield, damage absorption cancellation, whatever you need for later on in the dungeon. It will come up because it's only a 2-turn cooldown. So as a whole, an incredibly strong card. I would love to get one, but the problem is the odds of you rolling it are quite low, and there's a lot of filler cards in this event. Next card I want to take a look at is Gone. And Gone is an 8-star card, which means you can monster exchange for them. They have 4 skill boosts, and they transform. They have another transformation that's 7 turns, which is kind of obviously a little awkward, but that's okay. It's basically like Nautilus, and once you reach your final form, you have a similar leader skill to Nautilus in the sense that you need to match only 6 or more connected orbs. But the multipliers are all better. They're all better multipliers when you really think about it. Like, most notably, the bonus combos and the auto follow attack. They're bigger. And one thing about Nautilus teams is hitting more combos can be a little hard, and their reliance on combo orbs. And Gone, in theory, can solve that, and you can definitely asymmetrically pair the two. But the problem is, their active skill, despite being a 1-turn cooldown, is too detrimental. You're going to need to have a way to generate orbs on a regular basis. And I say that because the active skill cuts your health to 1, disables all your active skills for 5 turns, and then also giving you only 25% RCV. So you're at 1 health, you have difficulty healing, you can't use active skills for 5 turns. Yes, you do get a monster's attack buff for 5 turns for this card and all other cards, and a 40% gravity, but this is something you're going to use on the very single last turn of a dungeon. Like, when you're about to finish, you use it. Because if you use it preemptively, you're not going to be able to activate later on, and then you're going to die. So you need orb generation. So I feel like this is definitely a bit of a drawback overall. And These awakenings are completely unnecessary. Triple 10 combo is excessive when you really think about it on transforming cards, especially if they're not the same element. Crollo here is dark, so it's easy to actually trigger. This, you may not necessarily be able to trigger the sub-attribute efficiently, so that is obviously problematic there. And it is strong for sure, but I don't think it's necessarily worth trading for, going out of your way to get. Their weapon assist, you might also think is, wow, skill boost, and 3 turns haste. That's actually quite rare on an 18-turn cooldown, so it's actually quite powerful. But the thing is, if you have trade fodder available and you're looking at this fishing rod, I highly encourage you to look elsewhere. I want you to look at Ina. Academy Ina is currently available right now. And Academy Ina's weapon assist is actually incredibly strong. It's got the same skill boost and the 3 turns haste, but it gives you team HP and 60% jam resist. And those are much more universally helpful compared to Wood Rows. Wood Rows only benefit the owning card, or only Wood Row teams. Team HP and jammer resist benefit every single team. So if you have the trade fodder, I would look at Academy Ina instead. Next is an ant individual. Chimera ants. And they're multi-step transforming. So 24 turns, then they give you 100% damage reduction shield, which is nice. Lets you transform a bit easier and safe. And after 6 more turns, you get another haste, which is kind of a weird ordering, I feel, but that's okay. And then in their final form, they're actually a strong leader if you have duplicate, because you need leaders for yourself and your friend, and you also need one of them as a sub. And that's because their active skill is a 3-turn cooldown. And this active skill gives you a 1 turn of void damage void, so who cares about VDPing? You get a board unlock, and then you change the board to wood, dark, hearts, and poison. Now, this poison orbs are a little scary, of course, because you're not actually immune to poison damage with your leader skill, but your leader skill multipliers are quite large. But one thing I want to mention is that this health multiplier is going to negatively impact you because you have no recovery multiplier. So those poison orbs are going to hurt you. Even though you get a board of hearts as well, you're going to need to have some sort of healing solution. An easy choice is Gung Ho Belial, or at least someone with enhanced heart TPA awakening, so you actually can match a 4 heart match and be able to at least counteract these poison orb damage, because it's going to be definitely problematic. But the multipliers are huge. As long as you match poison orbs, you have 900 times attack, so gargantuan amounts of damage output. And even though his sub-attribute's the wrong color, the fact that their active skill makes the orbs in probably an equal distribution means their sub-attribute can potentially damage cap. With triple 10 combo and this poison blessing, huge amounts of personal damage. So both your leaders and your sub have 2 damage caps total, essentially. But the problem is you need a healing solution. And then you also need to have, active skills to deal with all the other mechanics. You need probably to deal with like shield, maybe delays, maybe damage absorptions, awoken bind clearing. Like, there's a lot of problems that still can go wrong. And you've already dedicated lots of cards into utilizing and making this system actually happen. So it is a little bit problematic overall in that sense. But at the same time, if you can overcome those nuances of having a healing solution and solving the other mechanics, you're going to have a good time. But the thing is, I wouldn't recommend you monster exchanging for it, because you really need 2 of them. Maybe if you rolled 1 of them, maybe you can make some arguments if you think this playstyle is cool, but I don't think it's truly necessary overall, because it's pretty restrictive. And the weapon assist is cool. Triple team HP, and you get to have 9 turns of attribute absorption cancellation. It's kind of weird, kind of excessive, but I guess is unique in that sense. And if you find you've lost interest in them as a poison leader, could be something interesting. And then for Kailua, they are a possible Kaishu sub, but I still don't think they're that great. They're the Orb Skin card, but I feel like if you have the funds to do so, it's probably not worth it to buy this card. So after they transform, they will become a transform looping card, in the sense that they're a 5-turn cooldown here, and then they'll give you 5 turns of Dark and Light Orb Skyfalls with a mini 1-turn delay. And then they swap into the exact same form, essentially just with better stats. And then this better stat form has a 1-turn cooldown that gives you a huge attack buff for themselves, and they swap back. The awakenings are the same, so maybe you could argue with a 1-turn cooldown, you can inherit something useful over top, let it charge up, have a good time, or you can just keep alternating back and forth between a big attack buff and a Skyfall loop for Kaishu, because Kaishu is a 7x6 dark and light TPA card, and the Skyfalls are definitely helpful, but at the same time, I don't feel like this card is definitely bringing enough to the table because it's just an attack buff. They're not technically solving other mechanics, and if you have other ways to get an attack buff, you may not necessarily need to use Kaishu. Maybe you have Daytona on your team because Daytona still works on that team. So, strong in the sense, but I don't think it's worth it as an orb skin card. Even if you could afford it, I don't think it's worthwhile. The weapon assist is just nothing truly special. And then the last card I want to take a look at is Kurapika. And Kurapika is a rainbow transforming card. They have a 23 turn cooldown, and once they transform, they have an active ability that gives you no Skyfalls, gives you negative movement time, so it overrides other time debuffs. And then 2 turns, you get 100% defense reduction. So if they have huge amounts of defense, you can go overcome it, but rainbow teams tend to have guard break anyways, so probably not going to be that valuable. But you also get 2 turns of attribute absorption, so that is definitely nice. Their leader skill is an incredibly easy to use rainbow leader. You just need to match 3 or more colors. That's it. So easy, so easy. This would be nice for just easy to play leader, not difficult. They have strong personal damage, they have poison surge, the VDP is kind of useless, but you know what? An easy to use rainbow leader that can pair with a large number of rainbow leaders as well, and they have nice multipliers. But again, this is a card you can't trade for, and even if you could trade for, I really feel like I wouldn't. So, in conclusion, I feel like for myself, I'm just going to maybe do a tiny bit of rolling, and that's it. Pray I get one of these cards I talked about, but other than that, I'm just going to pass because the bottom rarity doesn't bring enough value to the table. Sure, they have weapon assist, but I feel like we have so many weapon assists nowadays that it's just not going to be utilized. It's highly situational, each card, I feel, overall. Maybe for new boxes, sure, but again, I feel like Super Godfest tend to just be better value for a new box anyways. Regardless of all that, let me know what you think about this event in the comments down below. Do you think it's actually worth rolling in? And if you did roll, did you roll successfully? Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pet adventures, and happy puzzling.